Hello once again, everybody. Steve Peliquin giving you a rundown of what's happening with Louisiana Raging Cajun women's basketball. Big week for the Cajuns. Of course, they get selected to the Women's Basketball Invitational. And last week at historic Earl K. Long Gym, the Cajuns came away with an historic victory as they win over Texas Pan American. The final score does not indicate really how close the game was throughout, but ultimately the Cajuns wind up being victorious 78-56. I say the game was closer than the final score would indicate because Cajuns led by 2 points with 10 minutes left, and then they go on a 16-2 run to put the game away. And the reason why it was historic, number one, the Cajuns playing in only their second postseason game in women's basketball postseason history, and they captured their first ever postseason win with the victory. A packed house at Earl K. Long Gym, and the Cajuns taking on Texas Pan American, who was making their first ever postseason appearance. Cajuns led in the game by Kia Wilrich, who had 18 points, but they put 4 players in double-digit scoring, including Simone Fields, the fabulous freshman from San Antonio, Texas, who had 14. Kiki Veal had 12, and Jalen Gordon had 11. Brittany Bush for Texas Pan American had a double-double at halftime with 10 points and 10 rebounds, but she only finished with 12 points and 11 rebounds, and really that and the big 16-2 run in the second half was the difference in the game for the Cajuns. I thought it was a very interesting matchup to begin with because these two teams, arguably the worst women's basketball teams throughout the 1990s. I mean, there were years where really the only teams that they defeated were each other. And lo and behold, they played each other in a postseason basketball game. So I just thought that was great for both universities, great for both programs, and the Cajuns wind up coming out victorious in that matchup over Texas Pan American. The Cajuns, of course, the 2 seed in the Western Division, or the Western region in the Women's Basketball Invitational. Texas Pan American was a 7 seed. So the Cajuns moved on to the second round, and they played the McNeese State Cowgirls. Of course, Coach Gary Broadhead and Coach Sally Guillory worked on the coaching staff at McNeese with head coach Brooks Donald Williams, helped turn around that basketball program. McNeese State has a consecutive current string of postseason basketball appearances, and they're a solid basketball program with Allison Baggett and company, but the Cajuns led it 34-23 at halftime. They hung on for the 63-58 victory. Leading the way for the Cajuns in the game, Kiki Veal, who has really played good basketball the last couple of weeks of the regular season and also throughout the postseason. I think part of the reason is that she's 100% healthy, maybe for the first time this year in the game. She had 29 points and also 8 rebounds, 3 steals in the game. Could not have asked for a better effort from Kiki. Kia Wilrich had 13 in the game. She continues her good play in the postseason. And also Jalen Gordon had 12 points in the matchup. So the Cajuns now with 21 regular season victories. The first time since 2005-2006 that the Cajuns have won 20 games during the course of a season. Only the 4th time in program history that the Cajuns have eclipsed 20 wins in a season. McNeese State ends their season with an overall record of 18-14. So the Cajuns advance in the WBI. They are now waiting their next round opponent. They'll play either New Mexico or Oral Roberts in the Final Four. And that matchup is either going to be Wednesday or Thursday. Most likely Thursday, but don't hold me to it. What I do know is that if Oral Roberts wins on Monday evening, the Cajuns would host a Final Four game in the WBI. If New Mexico wins, the Cajuns would have to travel to Albuquerque, New Mexico. But outstanding for the Cajuns to get a postseason bid. Outstanding for them to win 2 postseason games. We've talked about it all year long. This team has played shorthanded all year. They've played without 2 starters throughout the course of the season in Savannah Oakley and Brooklyn Arsenault, who haven't played a game for them, and they've also been without the services of Jasmine Mills, who would have been a contributor to them off the bench. Not many basketball programs, especially out of the top 5, Power 5 conferences, could have withstood losing 3 of their top 10 players throughout the course of the year and still win 21 games and still be alive in postseason play. So Coach Gary Broadhead, his staff, and his players certainly deserve a big pat on the back. Going back to Coach Gary Broadhead, he has 45 wins in his first 3 years now as the Raging Cajun head women's basketball coach. That's the most in women's basketball history. So an exciting week, an historic week last week for Louisiana's Raging Cajun women's basketball team. Let's hope things continue in the right direction as they take part this week, of course, in the Final Four of the Women's Basketball Invitational. That's a rundown of Louisiana Raging Cajun women's basketball for ESPN1420.com. I'm Steve Peliquin.